Good evening, everyone, and my name is Michael Graham, and this is Module 1 for AEP 803. A little bit about me. I am from Hayesville, Kansas. I currently teach 7th grade social studies at Hayesville Middle School, and I am the head soccer coach at Hayesville West, our sister school. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in history from Bethel College, and I graduated from WSU with a bachelor's degree in education. Pretty much my hobbies revolve around soccer and Star Wars. I am married, father of 3 human children and 8 fur babies. My wife, happy birthday to her today, by the way, is Tasha, and my children, Emma, Luke, and Chase, pictured there on my right. As well as I have 8 fur children, Pele, our oldest, Philo, Bella, and Chewbacca. You saw Chewbacca on the page before. Yes, I do have a St. Bernard. I actually have 2 of them. We also have 4 cats. You will probably hear one of them in the background screaming because she's mad because it's bedtime. And that is, of course, Karma, Cookie, Oreo, and Eden. So what is action research? Action research, to put it in simpler terms, you can, of course, find those definitions anywhere in that reading. But in simpler terms, it means that action is a method of research that is done while being directly involved in the study itself, rather than being on the outside looking in. It's this idea of being able to conduct research, grab data, while still doing your day-to-day job without having to read a lot, do a lot of outside research in terms of reading books and writing papers. What's the purpose of it? It is, of course, to help you take charge of your personal professional development as you reflect on your own actions and observe other master teachers. It's a method of research that helps you learn while doing. This provides a great way to both teach and, as some of the sources showed, to collaborate with fellow teachers. There's your action research cycle there on your right. So the 4 types: individual teacher research, collaborative action research, school-wide action research, and district-wide. Individual, of course, focuses on just the classroom setting, done by an individual teacher. Not ideal, largely because it oftentimes will not affect anyone else outside of that classroom. Collaborative, of course, is working through one class with multiple teachers or multiple classes with multiple teachers. Oftentimes, this is a very collaborative effort and will include a higher education institution. School-wide and district-wide are very similar. Both are normally led by administration or upper personnel and will focus on a school-wide or district-wide issue. This data is often used to make future decisions and improve on the given school or improve on the district as a whole. So the goals of action research, of course, it is to move from that experienced teacher, someone who's been doing it for a while, to that expert teacher who is doing things extremely well. It's also to effect positive change in your classroom and to help students and teachers achieve the greatest amount of success possible to them. There are 4 main steps, according to the John Spencer video. Of course, that's planning for research, the design phase, analysis, and conclusion. So planning is where you do your inquiry and your literature review, where you look up and make sure that this research hasn't already been done before you start, and to kind of gather the information and required documents to help you. Design phase is where you come up with the experiment, if you will, and get your permissions that you need. You determine what data you're going to grab, and you determine when the time period is you're going to look at this and how you're going to create those deadlines, and when you're going to stop collecting data. Third is your analysis. This is where you organize your data, you look over what you got, and you kind of mull it all over and form conclusions before you start writing out your results. And of course, your conclusion is where you share your results with others and restart with the next issue that you plan on doing. So what are the differences between traditional and action research? I've done a lot of traditional research in my past with history teaching, but this normally involves papers and reading lots of books for answers, and especially to specific questions that oftentimes do not directly help you in the classroom. Action is often broken into 3 parts: practical, theoretical, and, of course, is also concerned with change and improvement. So some common problems. There are a few potential problems with action-based research. Often, of course, the first one is being time. Action research is often a very time-consuming activity, and it does require a lot of effort, especially from those involved, and which ties me directly into the accountability aspect. Everyone in the group setting, when you do action-based research on a higher level than just the individual classroom, must be willing to help and do their part. If they don't help and do their part, then it all falls down and it doesn't work and is not as effective as it possibly can be. You must be adaptable. You'll have troubles multitasking if you have that inability to kind of keep multiple balls juggling in the air, which I know isn't an issue for teachers, but might be for some, because this does require a lot of thinking on your feet, constant change, and movement. And lastly, follow through. This cannot be just a one-time experiment. This must be something that you commit to. School-based and this kind of idea of just doing it for an in-service is not ideal, as it will not stick, it will not last, and therefore it will not help improve the lives of your students and as you as well in the classroom. So evaluate. This is not the first time I've learned about action-based research. We did study a little bit when I was in college, and I work in a district that is very action-based research oriented. Sorry. I do think I could do a better job of gathering data. I have kind of fallen back a little bit on that when I transitioned from the alternative high school, where I had to gather a lot of data to justify scores, to state, and I had to make sure that they were on task for assessments, and timelines were reached. A lot more data was required of me while teaching at the high school than really is at the middle school. So I do, to be bluntly honest, have kind of relaxed on that aspect. But I find it still very useful, as I do still study my exams. I do kind of gather ongoing and rolling data on something simple like interruptions in class. Where do I need to move certain students to be next to whom? Because they interrupt in class more often if they sit next to kid B, so I need to move them to near to kid C so they stop interrupting as much. So you kind of get, that's kind of an action-based research. Is pretty simple in class. One of the things that my district does is we do a Capturing Kids' Hearts program through the Flippin' Group. It's a model of making students feel like they are welcome in class, as well as making them feel like they're valued in class, and that we really try really hard in our district to connect with our students more than just on that teacher student level, to kind of understand that I'm not just a teacher and they're not just a student, to kind of make those connections. Because one of the big issues we've found in mental health crisis we've had lately is that a lot of students, especially at the middle school level, never feel like they have an adult who actually cares about them. And so that's one of the things we really strive to do, is to make those students feel like they are cared about and they are missed when they're gone, and things like that, to kind of help with that mental health piece, which has been a big driver of an action-based research plan to fix in our school district. Now, critique. Like I said, I don't do as much action-based research as I should. I don't do as much data collection as I should in the past, largely just because it's a time-consuming behavior. I think it's very, very vital. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time. I need to make the time, because I know it will be more beneficial for my students. My district is very, very very action-based research. Oriented, as we do have a lot of those collaboration meetings. We have them once a week, where we meet with the English, math, science, social studies department for each grade, meet together in a room. We kind of discuss the issues we're having on our team with our certain students, what we need to do to help them. We also meet once a month with our specific course subject matter. So I'll meet with all the social studies teachers, and we discuss issues we have in those classes to kind of help everybody form a cohesive unit to help, especially a lot of times focusing on maybe a handful of students to help them out. Of course, there you can see on the right where I kind of go over all of the action research that allows us to connect to those learning goals that we have. I'm not going to read through those. I think most everybody has pretty much the same thing. And some final statements on this. This assignment fits right into all the selected course objectives as it was explained on the previous slide. It also touches a lot of data use as well as a technology-rich assignment. Relevance. This assignment is very relevant to learning in class as it involved a lot of research and data analysis. Honestly, having studied and used action-based research in the past did not add a whole lot to my current knowledge base. But I'm hoping that in the future some of these more assignments will. And of course, reflection. This will be was already on my plan for use in the future, not only as an educator, but in my eventual role as a building administrator. And this assignment will help me make future decisions based on the data, and to also focus on collaboration among staff to help find and solve the problems in my school as they come to light, because as we all know, our classrooms and our buildings change on a daily basis because our students come in, different kids almost every day. And of course, lastly, there are my bibliography pages. Thank you guys. Have a good night, and I look forward to hearing all your presentations.